everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Basement. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so I am now a human blanket with a cat. And Trevor is going to be doing a majority of the driving during this show. So hold on, everybody. Kids, fasten your seatbelts.
Yeah, only have a little over a year of experience driving. Still working on it. I have decidedly not gotten my driver's license. I still have the permit because I would have to pay for insurance and gas if I get my license, and my permit is eligible until I turn 17, so I'm going to hold on to it for as long as I can.
Sound reasoning.
Yes. Also, okay, this is something I noticed kind of bothered me in the intro. The 30-second timer ended at 27 seconds. Is that 30-second timer sped up?
I'm going to have to ask Dan, who's going to have to ask Ben, because that's where we stole it from.
Interesting. I was very confused. It was like, but math. Um, yeah, we'll be talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Mara and I have different opinions. I would say. I was thinking like I think this is the most
I see that in the chat.
we've ever this pretty close in taste. Um, but yeah, I we'll talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. But first, let's talk about what I watched, and then Mara can give thoughts on the things that I watched as well as me saying what I watched.
Okay.
Um, Kicked off. So this is 2 weeks now. I kicked it off with Jackie.
Oh, you rewatched Jackie.
I did. After seeing Spencer, this goes all the way back to the 6th of November, such a long time ago. Yeah, I think it's very, very good. I love Pablo Larraín. I love what he brings to the biopic genre of just like we're going to tell this entire person's life in like less than 3 days, 72 hours. It's just like he encapsulates like all of that person's essence, paired with great performances from and Spencer, Kristen Stewart, Jackie, Natalie Portman, and like makes that person real. And like I feel like I know the character, like contrary to like something like Respect earlier this year, which was just like basic biopic. It was 2.5 hours long. I felt like I did not know Aretha Franklin by the end of it. Like
Yeah, the musical biopics, I feel like are much more formulaic a lot of the time.
yes, yeah, agreed. I mean, it's what do you think is the best? Like probably Straight Outta Compton or Rocket Man.
Yeah, or Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, because it's
Yeah,
actually a very well-made movie.
yeah. Going all the way back. I probably actually my favorite music biopic is probably I'm going to blank on the name now. Um
Describe it.
it's Tommy Lee Jones is in this Coal Miner's Daughter.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um I think that's a very well made movie, knowing nothing about whatever her name was. Um uh, Still kind of know nothing about her, but it I thought that it was very well put together.
Oh, also, I guess I don't know if you can really I mean, it both is and also maybe slightly isn't, but I would also include Tick Tick Boom in there.
Yeah, which is very good, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
It's very good. Uh, yeah, I very much related to the character of Jonathan Larson. Um, all right, and I watched the beta test, which is Jim Cummings' new movie. He did the Netflix thing with Road in the title a couple years ago, where he played like a cop, and I don't know, he does like satirical comedy stuff. It isn't entirely for me, but I can respect it. But then I watched the cinematic masterpiece, MVP Most Valuable Primate,
Why?
because it was like midnight and I was editing and I needed something to be on, but then I was distracted by this thing being on. Um, and then I didn't edit. So I will say, so this is a spin-off of the Airbud franchise.
Why do I think you mentioned that at some point? Because I couldn't believe that and I thought you were lying.
So there are also two sequels.
How?
So they were MVP2 Most Vertical Primate, where the monkey was skateboarding.
Oh,
And then there was MXP, which just at that point you're moving away from MVP, most extreme primate, where he's snowboarding.
no.
So if you you have to pick. Oh, thank you, Garth. Loretta Lynn, that's her name. Um, going back to Coal Miner's Daughter, has nothing. Loretta Lynn, nothing to do with MVP.
Are you sure?
Maybe actually. Off the top of your head, you have to come up with an animal and a sport, and what's the title of the movie?
Okay. Hold on. Hey, Dan, can I bring you in for this? This sounds like something you would be really good at. I don't know if
Because
that
I have one. If we
I don't
want
know
to.
if that expression means yes or no, Dan. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay. I just want to be sure you're looking like the computer's so far
The
away.
countdown comes from StreamYards, by the way. So
Oh, got it.
Oh. Did Ben tell you that?
no, I just know that it comes from StreamYards.
I'm just
It's part
joking
of
because
their
Ben's doing a
overall
Twitch stream right
package.
now.
Oh, gotcha.
Well,
So
I'm
is it an
thinking that it
animal
has
and
to
a
be
sport?
an animal sport in the title. Okay. This is the stupid answer first, and then I'll think of a real one. It's a walking stick playing lacrosse, and the title is Sticks Up.
So mine is a cat that does gymnastics, and it's 9 lives out of 10.
Oh, wait, hold on. Is it going to be a crossover with the 9 Lives of Christmas? Is one of those cats the gymnast?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, so here's the movie. Brandon Routh has completely given up on his career. So he auditioned for Cats in full makeup. Was turned away. So then he decided to become an aspiring gymnast, qualified for the Olympics, and dressed up as a cat, like in Cats.
Oh my. I also
Yep.
see we have a great suggestion. A kangaroo boxing movie called Against the Ropes. I believe that might have meant ropes, but I like it either way.
No, Roo, like kangaroo.
Roo.
Oh, Ropes. I get it. I can't. My brain's not working. Oh, Muffin. No, don't do that. Muffin, don't do that.
We might have to flag this mature content.
And no, I don't, but that's
do.
from an earlier episode. I am going to watch
not-
the Jewish one, though, because apparently there's one.
There is one Jew. The Hallmark was like, you get one.
Stop. Get down. Get down. Get down.
Dan, I heard that.
Sorry, I'm having a battle over here. She's just
I
like,
know.
what can I push? What can I touch? What can I press? What can I sit on? What can I push? It's like, geez, Muffin.
Cat butt. Great analysis.
Muffin is my little
She
tiny baby
ignores
cat.
me until I'm on the air, and then she's just like, I want to get in your lap. I want to sit on your computer. I want to walk on your desk. I want to sit in your lap. It's like, okay, fine.
I want to put my butthole right in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Is there? I'm sure. Never. I was going to try and turn that into like a cat sport. That can't really work. There's really nowhere I could go with that.
Dan, what have you got? Have you got an animal, a sport, and a title?
I'm trying to think. I was thinking of a giraffe.
Ooh, what if it's an alligator that plays in the PGA and it's called Gator Golf?
Perfect. There you go. She's got it.
Yeah, that works.
She's got it.
Wait. No. It's the LPGA.
Yes.
It's even better.
Yeah. Yep. That works. Okay. So then I watched Escape from New York. First time. Hot take, it's the best John Carpenter film.
I'm actually surprised Dan does not have thoughts on this.
Sorry, I'm multitasking.
That's okay. Here, I'll put you away. Bye.
put him away. Yeah, no, I really liked Escape from New York.
Me too.
I thought that I was going to hate this movie. It does not look
thought
like
you
something
might.
I'm into. But like, okay, Snake Plissken, like A+ character name, one of the best character names of all time.
Oh yeah.
It's a thing. Like, it's okay, Garth. I have not seen The Thing. I still have not seen The Thing.
See, we have to do that because I have Thing theories. Like I have like 6 crazy in Mara's head universe thing theories, and I have to be able to tell you all of them and that you'll understand them. You also have another question.
No. TV's hard. But yeah, Escape from New York. Like, what a fun world. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
just, like, it builds a world and it has fun with it. Also, like, surprising, like, political messaging for 1981. Like, was not expecting that, but like, sure. Like, Carpenter went all out with it.
Oh yeah. Plus, I
Sorry,
mean, I
Nick.
love that it both has incredibly high and incredibly low production value at moments. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a great balance of like, they tried really hard, but it's also kind of campy and doesn't really fulfill all of the big shoots that it takes or shots that it takes. But man, I love it. It's so fun. Like, how many times do you have like a kind of like gritty, nihilistic future that feels fun?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fun. And the future of 1997.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, look, FCL royalty agrees.
Yay. Okay, so then I watched a movie that has quickly gone on to my top 10 of all time, Persona.
Oh yeah. I mean, did you say you'd watched it again, or is it just that you watched it that one time?
I've seen it twice in the past 2 weeks.
Okay.
I it's so good. It's perfect. It's like Ingmar Bergman is amazing. I got the Criterion box set. I am going to be slowly working through Bergman. Um my holy crap, that is I've seen it twice now. Most recently 5 days ago, and I'm still speechless. Like, when speaking about this movie. I like it's so short. Like, everybody please watch it. It's like an hour and a half long. It's in Swedish, but like, it's subtitles. It's fine. Like, it is there's so much. Like, there's a quote about it from a film critic saying, like, any interpretation that you can have of Persona can be refuted by the opposite, which can also be true. Like, there are so many interpretations of it. Like, you can make a movie with like a lot of like eclectic things and it's like there's so many interpretations of this and they can feel so messy. Like, it's just like, this movie is supposed to be interpreted, but like, this, like, there is a great like through line through it. Like, it tells a really amazing story on its own, and then there's all the other stuff, and it's like, movies are great.
Trevor, 2021, movies are great.
Movies are great. Yeah, everybody go watch Persona. It's amazing.
Do you know, there's another movie that I recall this year that you really, really thought was great. Oh, I'm sorry. I had the wrong baby. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I clicked the wrong baby.
A movie that was very good though was The Harder They Fall. You can touch on this as well.
Yes. Hold on. Before we get into that, you have another question. Lots of Trevor questions today.
Did
it finally arrive?
It finally has arrived. It's
here.
It is. It finally came after like a month since I ordered it. A month plus, because that was for the birthday. Yeah, it's been a month plus. It finally has come. By the next show. No, I might even watch it tonight after we're done.
Oh, if you do, you have to tell me what you think.
And then okay, so yeah, agreed. So okay, TV shows. I like TV shows. Okay. There's just a lot of them. Like, even Squid Game, like, it's like 10 episodes. Like, that's a lot of time. I understand that I've watched like close to like 25 movies over the past 2 weeks, but like, it's like I can sit down for like hour and a half to 2 hours, and it's just like it's done. A TV show is like 10 hours of commitment for a season, which is a lot. So I will eventually get around to Squid Game. Maybe I got Thanksgiving break this next week, so maybe I'll get around to it. But like, yeah, there's so many movies I want to see. And TV shows are just a lot. But eventually I will get this at some point before I die. I will watch Squid Game. I will make you that promise. Unless like I'm struck by lightning like within the next week. Then, it's null and void. But
Let's not go outside for the next week then. Why not? Let's just play it safe.
yeah, just play it safe. But the
But
harder
the harder
they
they fall, yes.
fall. It's
Man, what a stylized, interesting movie.
I've never seen a Western like this before. Like, because there's been like great modern Westerns, like even like discounting stuff like Nomadland or The Power of the Dog, which I did see. It's great. Like which are like they're like neo Westerns or even something like Hell or High Water. They feel very different, right? But like
Yeah.
we've had modern Westerns that are just like dusty Westerns. Like I'd even call like James Mangold's 3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah.
From 2007, like that feels like a very classic Western. I have never seen a Western that looked like The Harder They Fall.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
I mean, and all the original music made to go with it too.
yeah, like James Samuels, I believe that's his name, James Samuel.
That sounds right. Yes.
Great. He's absolutely great. But yeah, very, very excited to see what he does next because like this was his directorial debut.
I also think that this movie gave the entire world the epiphany that we should constantly see Lakeith Stanfield in leather and leather related goods.
Agreed. Looks great in leather. Also, just like the entire cast.
Yeah.
Like probably second only to Dune for like most beautiful cast.
Yeah, I mean, but let's be honest though. When does Lakeith not look great?
That's completely true. Yeah, he's done some really cool suit stuff. I like red carpets. Like he looks pretty great. He did like this all gold suit once.
I'm actually super excited because we are going to go to some award shows this next year since Dan is now boosted. So we're both vaccinated and boosted. And they have vaccination requirements, of course, for the shows. But I bought a gown 2 years ago for the show last year that, of course, didn't happen. So I'm very excited that I can dust off that garment bag and be like, all right, perfect dress. We're going to rock this. It's going to be nice. Awesome. It's going to be awesome. I'm not adventurous on the red carpet at all. Spoiler alert, it's a black dress.
Well,
going out on a limb there.
That's perfectly fine. Not everybody's Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I definitely don't have enough disrespect for people that suffer from food scarcity to wear a dress made of raw meat. I'm definitely not that much of a jerk.
That's fair.
Also, Dan has reminded me to, if you guys would like to ask us a question or otherwise potentially help Trevor either buy more Blu-rays or go to college, his choice. The Streamlabs link is pinned at the top of the comments. It's also over yonder, as they say in the West, on the screen, thereabouts.
South.
Down there-ish. Yes. Sorry, I'm off center because previously there was a Dan Merle sitting over here, and then I put a pillow in front of another pillow and it didn't work.
Got it.
You don't come here for a perfect show. It's okay. I know.
Didn't work, Mara? You know what else didn't work at all? Get the Family Man, not Nicolas Cage, Vin Diesel queued up because I rewatched The Pacifier.
Did you? Was this guy in it?
There were children. Have you seen this movie?
I have not, or at least if I have, I don't remember. I mean, Dan might be able to tell me definitively, like, oh yeah, we totally watched that movie, and I'll be like, sure. But no, I don't believe so. I'm assuming I would not like it.
It's bad. This is another one where I threw something on because I was editing. I've now resorted to Hallmark Christmas movies. I watched Gingerbread Miracle, Cross Country Christmas, and My Christmas Family Tree. But yeah, no, The Pacifier isn't good. It's
just that's it. It's just not good.
Yeah, it's not good. There's, That's a thing. Um, I non-context spoilers is just Daniel Craig from Knives Out saying Nazi child, and we can move on. Um,
Oh my. I almost
uh,
feel like I have to watch it now.
maybe that's a watch along at some point.
Oh. Well, we did discuss. We've been brainstorming maybe like a fun big December goal, but I think we might maybe need to retool that because this is sounding really interesting.
Yes, yeah. Um, so I watched Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Yeah, I will not be seeing that.
It's literally just a remake of Okja. Like it's just a bad Okja remake. The villains are the exact same. Like it's just bad Okja.
Please tell me that that's what your letterboxd review says with no greater detail. It's just bad Okja.
So my letterbox review was love the new Okja remake.
That is even better. See, I don't even know why I suggested. You were going to top that.
Also, okay.
Oh, don't
So,
go. No.
aw,
I'm sorry,
the,
continue.
the star of the film is Darby Camp. Okay. Um, so not her first time in a dog movie. She was also in Benji, the remake.
They
Not
remade that?
not the
Why?
1970s one. She isn't like a 4-year-old playing a 6-year-old. Okay, she isn't Ben Platt. Um,
Oh, sick bird.
but she's also in Big Little Lies, the TV show. Do you know
Oh, so
what?
she likes to be things with big in the title.
Do you know what Christmas franchise she stars in?
Franchise. Um, Christmas franchise. Home Alone.
It would be the Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell as Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, I really like those. They're like really super stupid, and
Absolutely.
Kurt Russell looks like he's having the time of his life.
I will argue Kurt Russell, one of the best Santa Claus live action Santa Claus portrayals I've ever seen.
I think that's legit.
I think it like much better than Tim Allen. Just throwing that out there. I don't know who tops him. Like who's a better Santa? Maybe the dude from Miracle on 34th
I was just about to say it.
Street. Also, okay, so the little girl in Miracle on 34th Street is also like 14 years later, Maria in West Side Story.
Oh, see, I've never seen West Side Story, so that one doesn't connect with me.
Okay. It's a perfect movie, by the way, except for
I'm intentionally not watching it before the new one because Dan wants to hear what the perspective is of someone who has no, like, I know it's Romeo and Juliet with gangs, like that's all I know about West Side Story. And
yeah.
so since I don't have the heightened expectations because of the original film being so good, then I'm he's curious to see, will our reactions be the same? Will they be different? Will I like it more? Will I like it less? So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch it after I see the Spielberg one.
I will rephrase West Side Story, perfect movie, except for, casting white actors to play, um Latino and Latinas, like, and then like putting oil on them to change their skin color. That wasn't great. Other than that, a perfect movie.
I mean, hey, I think I love Lawrence of Arabia, but it has Sir Alec Guinness in brown face. So, I
That's
mean, even
true.
some of the best perfect movies have made some mistakes.
Yep. Wait, okay, so Garth is saying, did Mel Gibson play Santa Claus at one point?
I feel like that would be pretty in character for him.
Like, no, like he's at. If you told me Mel Gibson played Santa, I'd 100% believe you. Oh, it was Fat Man from last year.
I was about to ask Dan. You nodded your head. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that I blocked that movie out of my memory. Yeah. Oof. Uh,
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave that one alone.
yeah. Passing though. Did you guys see it?
Sorry, I'm yelling at the cat. No, not yet. Right? Okay. Yes. No. I
Um,
sometimes he gets things that I don't get to see, so I
yeah.
sometimes have to verify.
Okay, so it's black and white 4x3, so like, you know, looks great. But also like it actually did it for a reason. Like it reflects like the characters like all four leads like have a really interesting ideology about race that's like very different and shades of gray, hence black and white. It did some really interesting stuff. It's a little sloppy. The editing's like a little sloppy. The screenplay's a little sloppy. Like, I mean, and to be fair, it is Rebecca Hall's directorial debut, but like there's some pretty great performances in the movie. Like just Ruth Negga and Tessa Thompson are amazing. They're really, really, really good. So even through its sloppiness, like it's pretty beautiful and it says some really interesting stuff.
It's definitely on our list.
Yeah.
The ever extensive list.
Yes. Oh, that's long.
Yes, this is the list of all the movies that we need to watch.
Then I saw Finch.
That's on our list too. It was on the wheel. So sometimes when we can't decide what we want to watch, like, oh, we both really want to watch this one movie, we go to like, the randomizer thing online, the one that Schmodown doesn't use, and we randomly pick a movie.
Wait, so you mean that it's actually random?
I made no such accusation. All I mean to say is that it is algorithmically defined as random. So
got it. Okay, interesting.
Hey, I'm clearly not wearing any sort of hat, tinfoil, or otherwise. It's just a fun joke.
I was gonna try. Surprisingly, I don't know. I was looking around like I had tinfoil within arm's reach.
If you did, I would be so impressed. I would just quit making jokes. I would just leave it alone forever.
I'm confused why I looked around though. Like I know I don't have tinfoil.
I know I do. It's in the bottom drawer number. I think it'd be drawer number 9 over there. I'm gonna start putting numbers on them so that way I can tell Dan where stuff goes.
Yeah.
Well, because like I put everything away and I organize the kitchen, so like I don't expect him to know where everything is because he didn't like figure out like, oh, I'm gonna put these exact things in this place. So he always wants to help, and I always tell him, oh, don't worry about it. I'll put it away because I haven't shown him where it goes. But I could be like, it goes in drawer number 6, Dan, and then he could put it away.
To quote Clifford the Big Red Dog, this is a real line. Clean up an aisle 4.
Is it? Did the dog make a mess in a store?
No. The girl. Okay. Here's I made a video about Clifford the Big Red Dog. You can go check it out. I did not specifically mention this though. So the girl goes to school as most children do, except me, homeschooling. But the school was like, we're gonna do a like tin can cleanup thingy. So she gathers tin cans, brings them to school. The bag breaks. So also she was the only one that brought tin cans, even though the school like said to bring tin cans, and then everybody made fun of her for like doing what the school said. Which like,
oh wow, cool. Let's make fun of kindness.
It was just like the most like they were all the kids except her were like caricatures of children, mostly just characters of bullies, which was just like okay. But then anyways, this girl like just absolutely roast of the year points at her and goes, clean up an aisle 4.
Aren't most children just caricatures of children nowadays?
That line alone is funnier than anything that happens in Clifford the Big Red Dog. It's also really funny because there's a great I don't think anybody cares about spoilers about Clifford the Big Red Dog. At one point, they have to run away, so she hops on the back of Clifford, and they're like riding through like the city. Right, the CGI is so bad. There's like an aerial like drone shot that's supposed to be like of the news, and you see Emily, the girl, on the back of Clifford, but like she's horribly scaled. Because like normally from that height you wouldn't be able to see her. So in scale, there's a cop car next to her, and she's like the size of the cop car. It's so funny. The CGI is so bad.
I mean, female children develop faster than male children, so she is the size of a cop car, and we shouldn't make fun of that.
I See, this is why you're like good at debating. Um,
Well, hey, we'll see. I have to. I made it to the finals. I have to debate Chandra Dantapani to see if I can face off against Ben Bateman for the Schmobates belt. I may end the year with a belt. There's still a chance because I still refuse to wear clothes that require actual belts.
yeah, okay. Um, uh, Finch. Um, yeah, surprisingly very charming. Like has some issues. I will never say um like that it's like great or anything because it isn't. But yeah, it was pretty charming. It was pretty fun. Way better than I was expecting. I liked it. You can go watch it. And we did get a Streamlabs, two of
Couple
them.
actually.
Yeah. Would you like to take them or would you like me to take them?
By all means, Trevor. You're much closer to your computer, I bet, than I am to mine, and I'm not wearing my glasses.
Fair.
That's what being old does to you.
I we aren't that old.
I know it's actually just the laser eye surgery thing, but that's fine. Continue.
Blake Q donated $2. Have you guys seen the Taylor Swift All Too Well short film? After watching it, I need Dylan O'Brien to star in an A24 drama.
Ooh, that's some high praise. I haven't seen it yet.
So I have.
Yes, I believe you explained it to me.
Okay. So agree with the sentiment that Dylan O'Brien should star in an A24 drama because he's a very good actor and people don't give him enough credit for it. He was pretty fun in Love and Monsters last year. And yeah, he's a good actor. People don't give him credit. Like a lot of like YA actors, people are like, oh, bad. But then we're kind of seeing a resurgence of them now. Like we saw Jennifer Lawrence break out of that pretty quickly, but now we're seeing Kristen Stewart break out of like she's been doing great indie stuff for a while, but we're seeing her break into that in the mainstream now with Spencer. Robert Pattinson is doing Batman.
I mean, all the Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe. I mean, I feel like very successfully transitioned from being little teeny tiny baby people actors to being adult actors.
Yeah. Rupert Grint though, not so much. Rupert
I mean,
Grint.
I think he chose not to continue acting, if I
Oh,
recall.
did he? Okay. That would make sense why he hasn't been in anything.
For some weird reason, I think he like owns an ice cream, something related to ice cream. I don't know. Maybe I'm making it up, but I feel like I read that somewhere. Dan, fact check me.
But I was not a fan of this short film. I don't know. It came across I like Taylor Swift well enough. Like I think it would be insane to say that like she isn't talented because she's absolutely talented. But like I would like to read off paraphrase I guess a Letterboxd review that like perfectly encapsulates my thoughts. The latest example the latest example of Taylor Swift simultaneously being a creative genius and the biggest loser I've ever seen.
Oh, wow. All right, I have to watch it.
Which like yeah, like it feels incredibly like petty. It's just like oh like it's so sad about this relationship that ended 12 years ago with a dude double my age. Like I didn't really care. It felt very like hollow and void. But like it was fine. I like the cinematography. It was fun, like the vignettes and like Dylan O'Brien and Sadie Sink were good. But just like the overall thing was just like eh.
By the way, Dan, fact check me. He bought an ice cream truck, but he does act from time to time. He was a regular on the TV show Servant.
Oh, is that the M. Night Shyamalan thing?
I was both right and wrong.
It was M. Night Shyamalan. Is that, or am I completely off? Servant.
I don't know. I haven't heard of it.
Yes, cool. I know things about TV.
Yay.
Garth also donated $5. My hospital roommate is 97 years old, blind, and only speaks Spanish. He listens to stuff on the TV and he's watching a gladiator war movie, and it's all just yelling swords and shield noises. So I ask you, would you enjoy a movie only hearing it and not seeing it?
That is an excellent question because when I got my laser eye surgery, so I didn't qualify for LASIK. I had to get PRK, which they don't use either a scalpel or a laser to cut your eye, flip the flap up, laser it, and then flap back down like they do the others. They use like a special medical tool to sand off effectively the top of your cornea, and then they laser you, and then they put this protective contact lens on you. But with LASIK, like the second after you get it done, you have perfect flawless vision, and then it goes cloudy for like 3-ish days and your vision's kind of wonky, but over like a week your vision basically just like completely normalizes. But with PRK you're blind for like 3 weeks, and like you're instructed not to look at anything. Like they give you a big like goggle thing, like that it's almost like drunk goggles sort of, because obviously they don't want you getting a lot of sunlight in your eyes that are not protected at all by their normal corneas. But you can't watch TV, you can't read, you can do nothing interesting. So I actually found that listening to like early to mid 2000s comedies was a really fun experience, because you don't need to see them. Like the jokes are really more audible than they are visual. I also enjoyed action movies, surprisingly, but that's because I listened to things like Die Hard and Predator, movies that I'd seen a million times, where I didn't need to see the action. Like, and I can just also enjoy like the scores to movies. So movies that have a really fantastic score. A lot of Star Trek, lots of Star Trek. So I would just have my roommates like just put on stuff for me over and over and over again. And I mean, half the time you're sleeping because you're on a lot of drugs, because you're in a lot of pain because you don't have corneas. Yeah, which I definitely am super glad about, because the Navy paid for it, so it was free. So to all of you taxpaying citizens out there, thank you for paying to give me laser eye surgery. But also, even though I have some side effects, like PRK gives you bright spots and halos, which is why I have to wear glasses, because my eyes get really challenged by light coming at them. Like movies, I have to wear glasses to watch movies. When I drive at night, I have to wear glasses. Like it's not a restriction on my license, but like if I don't, I'm going to see 6 of every car or something. You know, it like it just gets really hard for my eyes to focus. So I have what's called a prism correction in my glasses to like focus my eyes on one specific point instead of like it duplicating other points. But yeah, definitely don't regret it. But I had to listen to media for like 3 to 4 weeks. It was interesting, really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Right, buddy?
So
Just so
I've never like watched a movie without looking at it, but the things that came to mind to me, I three movies immediately came to mind, which were 12 Angry Men, which I think works a lot without visuals. Before Sunrise, honestly, just the entire Before trilogy, but specifically Before Sunrise. One, because like I love it and I've seen it so many times. And Mara shamefully has not. But
I know. Hey, I got Godfather 1 and 2 down. I'll get to the Before trilogy.
but it's just a lot of just like, well, the visuals are great. Most of it is just like Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy just like talking, and it's like it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and that's what love is. And then
I also do a lot of IG rewatches
yeah,
with, I call it watching with my ears, where like I have to be doing other things like doing computer work, or even just like, hey, I'm unloading the dishwasher, or I'm vacuuming, or I'm giving the cat a bath or whatever. And or I'm in the shower even, and I listen to the IG movies, because a lot of what you can collect trivia wise is from the dialogue. So
yeah,
I watch with my ears quite a bit.
yeah. I would also throw out something like La La Land, or like any
Oh
kind of
yeah.
musical, just because a lot of it you can follow along with auditorily. And I've also seen La La Land 10 plus times at this point. So I have the movie pretty close to memorized.
Actually, speaking of La La Land, I want to interject really quick. So, like, I'm not saying at all that I don't love La La Land. I love it the way it is. But in my mirror universe, where I preserve everything that already existed here, but I'm just in my mirror universe, Andrew Garfield starred alongside Emma Stone in La La Land, because after seeing Tick Tick Boom and hearing him sing, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I feel completely confident he can dance at least as good as someone else who also was not a trained dancer. And obviously, he and Emma Stone would have like killer chemistry. And I would just, in my mirror universe, that movie exists.
Yeah. I'd be here for it. Like, I mean, La La Land's perfect, but like,
Exactly, and it can totally stay perfect. It doesn't have to change.
Yeah, I could see that though. I mean, I think that would make Sabrina Ramirez and Brendan Hanna very happy because I know they love that movie and they love Andrew Garfield and
Oh, we have to ask them about it now.
um, but yeah, a last thing. So this one's kind of a half answer. But so the original Danish version of the Guilty. So obviously you would need subtitles to watch it normally. But I do think that that's the superior version of the film over Antoine Fuqua's remake that came out this year in English. So you'd of course have to listen to the English version. You know, if you're boring English speaker like us.
Well, don't forget, I think that one thing that gets kind of forgotten a little bit in the subs versus dubs conversation is that dubs have a really necessary place for people that are blind because
Yeah.
they can't read subtitled films and they deserve to experience films just as much as everybody else, and they have to experience films with their ears.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. But yeah, overall, those are my answers. Also, I would like to suggest an audio drama to everybody. It is called Homeroom.
Oh, I've never
Or
heard
sorry,
of
not
it.
Homeroom, Homecoming.
Oh, I've also never heard of it.
Homeroom is a documentary that came out this year. It's on Hulu. It's great. But Homecoming got a great cast. Oscar Isaac is in it. David Schwimmer of Friends
Oh,
is in it. And I'm blanking. The lead actress is the mom from Get Out. Um,
oh, oh my God. Sorry, give me a second. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my God. Here, hold on. I'm gonna bring Dan in because I know he knows it and I know it. I just can't think of it. You're muted.
Catherine Keener.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Amy Sedaris is also in it. But it's about so Catherine Keener is like a therapist. Oscar Isaac is one of her patients, and then David Schwimmer is like the dude in charge of the whole thing. So it's about like bringing people like bringing soldiers, like U.S. soldiers, back home to the U.S. and it's treated like a rehabilitation thing, like just to get them out. But then they're actually like trying to like this is like very minor spoilers because it's very obvious early on, but they're like actually like trying to like brainwash them with like.
Oh, I do know this. I just haven't seen it.
So it was adapted into an Amazon show with Julia Roberts. But the audio drama is amazing. Like it's like 30-minute episodes. It's 2 seasons, 6 episodes in each season. It's very bingeable. I did it all in like 2 days. I watched the first season because it's 2 hours per season. So it's basically just like listening to a movie. But it's great. Everybody should go listen to it. Back to movies quick. I do want to talk about Dodgeball, a true underdog story. Me liking this movie was a true underdog story. And much like the film, it succeeds. It like the dodgeball team in the film, like the movie succeeds. It's great. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's very good. I had a lot of fun.
Trevor, trivia question.
Yes.
What are the 5 Ds of dodgeball?
Okay. It's dodge, dip, dive, duck, and dodge.
Technically, duck and dive are inverted, but you did get all 5. I don't care that they were in the wrong order. That
Got
I will
it.
give you full credit.
Cool. Oh yeah, because is it dive, duck, dip, dodge, and dive or something? Yeah.
Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge.
Got it. Okay. I
Take that from someone who's seen that movie too many times.
but yeah, I mean if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yes. Someone's going to teach you that lesson somehow about filmmaking. They're going to throw an IMAX camera at you and say if you can dodge an IMAX camera, you can operate it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that will happen to you at some point and you'll be ready for it.
Yep. Patches O'Houlihan, up there, up there with Snake Plissken as one of the best character names in cinema history.
Oh yeah.
Like I typically do not like Vince Vaughn. I'm not a Vince Vaughn fan. Also randomly today, remember that he was in Hacksaw Ridge. It was just I
Yeah.
was looking through Andrew Garfield movies and I was like, oh, it was just a thought I had today. Very irrelevant. But yeah, not the biggest fan of Vince Vaughn, but like I had so much fun with this movie. I also just like love sports movies in general. And this was a very fun comedic take on sports.
Oh yeah. Plus, honestly though, I love dodgeball. Like, I think that you should definitely make sure that the right equipment is used. But I'm sad to hear that so many schools no longer play dodgeball because
It's so fun.
it's so fun. And honestly, I was like not I was never the first person picked at stuff like dodgeball, which is really just tragic because I was quite good at dodgeball, mostly because I'm small and nimble and unafraid to hurt myself to make sure I win. Um,
I had
but I
a
really miss playing dodgeball.
I had a Cinderella-esque dodgeball story. Maybe at some point we need to play Dungeon Ball, except it's dodgeball with the dungeon.
Okay, so sadly, of course, number one, you are 16 years old and it would not be appropriate. But all of it's also in a week and a half. But the dungeon is all going to be together in LA, and I might have to try to see if we can find one of those like trampoline dodgeball places and bring the GoPro and put it on my head, and then try to get some
Nice.
delightful dungeon ball footage of everyone. Can you imagine Kaiser playing trampoline dodgeball? He's like the best manager ever. I don't know if that is going to be in his wheelhouse. He can do so many things. He's a fantastic editor. He's a great story producer. Again, I think he's manager of the year through and through. But I don't think trampoline dodgeball is in his repertoire.
He'd probably get kicked out. Let's be completely honest.
Maybe. He does know everybody though. Like
That's true.
he knows everyone, especially if we could find a place that's in Manhattan Beach for some stupid reason, because there would be one there because of course there would somehow. He'd know who ran it.
He is the epitome of the saying, I know a guy.
Yes.
That's
He is.
just John Kaiser. Oh
hi buddy.
But yeah, Dungeon Ball needs to happen.
Hey Dan, what do you think of that idea? Oh, Dan.
Muted.
You're still muted. I'm sorry.
As much as I love Kaiser, that's incorrect. Fenstock is the embodiment of the phrase "I know a guy."
Oh wow, that's true.
True. Yeah.
Why'd you hit the microphone, kitty?
Speaking of things that are bad at being a thing, not like Kaiser's, hypothetically bad at dodgeball. Home Sweet Home Alone is.
It's one of the worst movies ever made.
It's awful. And I feel so bad for Archie Yates because he's so good in Jojo Rabbit. And then he did this.
Dan, are you going to do a formal review of this movie? Or are you going to talk, or do you want to talk about it here?
It was god awful. I doubt I'll do a formal review other than it sucked.
I just meant like I'm not going to ask you to talk about it here if you're going to put out a review on your channel. So I'd put you back in the.
No.
Okay, well then, would you like to stay? And I know normally we don't just like dump on a movie, but oh, good grief, what was that?
Terrible. That's what it was.
Like, why would you pick the new version of the Wet Bandits to be people financially struggling, even though they have careers that they've put time and energy into, especially a noble one like being a teacher, and them trying to save their house at Christmas time for the sake of their two small children? Like, what about that makes me want to see them get hit in the testicles and get their brains smashed by a cue ball? Like, I don't understand that.
Right. I don't know what the movie, and like the kid Archie Yates has like the 4th or 5th most screen time. Like he's so low in screen time. So I don't know what I was supposed to root for. Am I supposed to root for the people that are like, portrayed as like the protagonists who are robbing a child? Like, are we supposed to do that? Or are we supposed to root for the kid who's like, he's a kid protecting his house, so like it's Home Alone, so we're supposed to root for him. But then like he's kind of a jerk.
Well, also like the without getting into spoilers, the point of the story is that they believe that the child has stolen something of theirs that is very valuable. And there's also a problem in at least Kevin McAllister, even though I personally don't like his character and I think he's an annoying little shit. But at least at a minimum, he didn't do anything like criminal or like totally immoral or unethical to someone else. But that kid allegedly stole something from these people. Like, that's also a problem. I shouldn't have my protagonist commit a crime, even like as an innocent little kid. Oh, plus the whole thing at the church, which again, I'm not going to get like specific,
Yeah.
but that whole thing, I was like, that little kid sucks.
Yeah. Okay. I will say, like, I don't
There you go, Dan. Video idea.
What?
Oh, I would love to
Sorry,
see a half-second YouTube review of that intro music. It sucked. Outro music.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
okay, like, not, this isn't really spoilery, I guess, but like in a very vague sense, by the end, it just seems like none of the characters in the movie cared about the conflict.
No, well, especially because it both could be resolved with 3 simple sentences of conversation, and they both wouldn't allow it. And then when the movie chose to allow it, it literally was 3 sentences of conversation, and then let's all hug, and then it's all good and everyone's happy.
Yeah, it was it and then like the messaging of the movie is just like, home is where your family is, which was just like kind of thrown in as a like side, like, in a sideline, like with like 5 minutes left in the movie, and it's like that's the message. What really? Okay, so if anybody would like to hear my full my complete thoughts, I actually made a 20-minute long video on my YouTube channel of me just dumping on this movie. So if you're at all interested, there's a video on my channel, which I don't know if it's linked anywhere, but it's just my name, Trevor Matteson.
I can make that happen. I can put
Okay.
that in the description box.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
It's a bad movie. It's really, really bad. Definitely a strong contender for worst picture at the Basement Awards this year.
Yeah. I mean, at least in the first movie, like, and I guess that this little kid's mom is kind of the same. Like the mom character, as in like my child was inadvertently left home alone.
Mhm.
Like she's okay. And obviously like Catherine O'Hara was great. Like those were the only 2 characters in basically either of those movies where I'm just like, hey, they're not terrible. Cause like even the husband and wife, again, dire financial straits, but they do kind of commit a crime, even though a crime was committed against them. It's not like, an eye for an eye is not justice. But so we can't really totally completely say that they're great because again, they scared a small child by breaking into his home. But then the family that's visiting them, the brother and sister-in-law and their family, like they suck. And some of the other people, like the way that the family who left the kid home alone was like treating the person they thought was their Lyft driver or Uber driver was like super insulting. It's like none of these people in this movie are good people. Like they all suck. Except for the mom, kind of.
In this movie. Like I hate everyone. Everybody in this movie is an awful person. Like not the actors, I'm sure they're great, but like their characters.
Yeah, not the actors.
Awful. I don't like them. They're like I couldn't root for any. Even if I was supposed to root for the criminals, like I couldn't root for anybody. They all suck. But yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. Also, okay, so there's a scene.
Dan and I were like angry at it. It was so bad.
I was very angry when it was done. I was mad at it. Like, okay, so there's a scene with VR. Okay?
Yes.
That's not how VR like do they understand how VR works?
I think they assume, because that's the other thing too, by the way. I honestly don't feel a lot of sympathy for the little kid. His name's Max, right?
Yeah.
For Max's house and everything, because of course there's rampant property damage and stuff. I don't feel bad. They are like 10 times as rich as Kevin McAllister's family was, and they were definitely wealthy. Like this family is loaded to the nth degree. I don't have a lot of sympathy for like, oh my God, their house got a little destroyed. Like they need to buy a new light fixture and they need to replace some sheetrock and a couple pieces of banister or something. Like they are so well to do. And this other family is like struggling just to stay in their very modest home.
And they're going on like a trip to like Japan. Like I didn't care about the fan. Like I'm not. It's like the kissing booth. I don't care about like these rich kids like going through like issues. Like I don't care. You have a mansion. Nobody cares. Yeah, I just this movie. Okay, there's also a scene. I'm trying to be as nondescript as possible, but literally nobody cares about seeing this movie at this point. Like, there's a scene where Max shoots one of the people trying to rob his house with a billiard ball. Okay, and then later he tries to do it again, but the guy catches it. And then Max, it's very obvious that there are still 3 or 4 billiard balls left in the shooter thing, and he just drops it and runs away. Like, it's so
One of the ones that really bothered me was that like he gets knocked unconscious by the billiard ball the first time, and then the VR goggles get put on or whatever, but he's laying there by the front door and the wife is trying to open the door and keeps hitting him in the head with the door, this solid wood door on this like probably like $8 or $10 million house. And she's just hitting him over and over again, like hard. It has to be like 20 times. And I'm like, oh, cool, great. You just gave your husband a depressed skull fracture and now he's a cucumber. Like, oh my goodness, this movie's so funny that these, people in financial crisis, that this woman just inadvertently killed her husband. This is a great, delightful Christmas romp.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Red Notice.
Oh, we got into Streamlabs really quick
did.
Before we talk about that.
Movie Shinobi donated $10. Mara,
Thank
Trevor,
you.
Kitty. All of those are on screen currently. Or Sir Pounce, unless it's another Kitty, and Dan. Have a great weekend and Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you. You too. I haven't seen Ghostbusters yet. You don't need to. Sorry. That does not represent the everybody on the show. Still dealing with dad stuff, rehab, and declutter. I ordered tickets for Macross. Love you guys. Take care. I hope you're doing well, Movie Shinobi. I hope you enjoy Ghostbusters more than I did.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of different spectrums of affection for the movie. So you're not like an outlier for not being like unabashedly in love with it or something.
Yeah. Red Notice. So this was another movie that I think you guys liked more than I did.
Yeah, we both liked it.
I almost fell asleep on multiple occasions. So I guess that sums up my opinion. Yeah. I
mean, we did see it in a theater, which I'm sure helped at least a little bit.
I'm sure. I don't know. I thought it was super boring and repetitive. Like, it just felt like 10 to 15 minutes in one place, Ryan Reynolds will tell a joke, and then there will be a twist. And then we go to a new place, and then Ryan Reynolds will tell a joke or two, and then there will be a twist. And then we go to a new place. It was just like over and over and over again. Like, I thought the ending twist was fun. Like, that was fun. Everything else I thought was incredibly predictable. Like, I don't know. It was like fun enough, I guess, but like it would be hard not to with that cast. But I don't know. I for me it didn't really do anything except bore me.
Dan, you and I liked it. I mean, I think that it easily could have just been trying to soar on the chemistry and the charisma of its A-list cast, but I think it definitely did more heavy lifting from a construction narrative standpoint than I expected it to.
I agree. I wasn't really expecting much out of it, and it was fun. It was stupid, but it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, like I didn't. After I paused it, so I didn't like fall asleep and got back into it. Like, I did not have fun watching it. It was just like simultaneously like, oh yeah, this is fine and fun while also being boring, I guess. I was very disengaged from it the entire time, which shouldn't be happening considering like how much fun the movie was like trying to have, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it wasn't the worst thing, but it also it exists.
I think it's like a nice, fun movie. It doesn't need to be per se like overcomplicated, but if you're looking for something that's a lot more that has a fairly decent amount of depth, it's probably not the movie for you. But
Yeah.
it's definitely it'd be a fun movie to watch with friends or just to be around other people and hang out. I would definitely watch it again. I thought it was quite enjoyable without being like, oh, it's great.
That it's going to be like a Thanksgiving movie for like extended family, which I think works.
I'm actually super excited, by the way. So I don't come from like a background that has American Thanksgiving. So I get to have Thanksgiving with Dan and his family every year for the last many years. And I'm really looking forward to it next week
Nice.
or this week, I guess, technically, whatever.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Coming soon to a house near you. I watched Mayor Pete, the Pete Buttigieg documentary at request of my mom. I think it was her most anticipated of the year. She really liked it. Pete Buttigieg, just a cool dude. It did like as a documentary, it didn't do a lot for me just because it was just like archival footage chronicling in like chronological order of his presidential campaign, which is like it was fun and entertaining, but like I would have liked to see more from like I guess a filmmaking side of things rather than just like editing together footage of his political campaign.
Right.
But I had a lot of fun with it because like Pete Buttigieg is just like awesome, and so it was fun to just watch him.
I definitely want to watch it. I wasn't as familiar with him like really early in what him rise into prominence, and I was like, I don't know if I like him. And the more I learned about him, I was like, oh, okay, I like him.
Yeah. Him and Chaston dressed their babies up as traffic cones. It was so
No
cute.
way.
Because he's the Secretary of Transportation, I think. And yeah, they dress them up as traffic cones and they look adorable.
That's adorable. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right, and then lots of Hallmark stuff, which we can skip over. But I showed my mom Before Sunrise, which I already kind of gave my thoughts on the show, but it's great. It's a perfect movie. I watched Murder in the Orient Express.
So I'll check it out at some point. I promise, Trevor.
I know. Murder in the Orient Express. So I know you like this movie.
I love this movie, but I am the absolute target. Like I am the dead center of the target for that movie.
Yeah. So I bought it because Clara's like very into Agatha Christie, but she didn't actually want to watch it because she hasn't read the book yet. Because our library just like doesn't have it. But like I don't know. So I've never read the book or anything. I thought the ending was so obvious. And it's the 2017 one, Garth.
Yeah, the Kenneth Branagh version.
Yes. Not the 19 was it 1974? It got nominated for like 5 Oscars, the Sean Connery one.
Dan?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'll have to check.
Okay.
I don't know. I personally thought it was very obvious. Like, I think that Kenneth Branagh, the actor, did an amazing job. Like, he was so good as Hercule Poirot. Like, he was like, and visually, the movie is pretty fun, but just like, I don't know. I thought the story was like lulled a lot in different places, and it was just like leading up to me what was a very obvious conclusion.
Well, I mean, I knew exactly what was going to happen, but I was just thrilled. I love that incarnation. I've been like straining for the calendar days to move quicker because Death on the Nile is something that I am incredibly eagerly anticipating.
Dude,
you can ask Dan. I love this movie. I love it so much. I'm sorry, I'm not really super tired. I'm just not feeling great. I'm not tired.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so do we know what's going on with Death on the Nile? Because like with Armie Hammer, like it's.
I have no idea.
Okay. I
It's
didn't know if
something
that
that
was a thing.
I mean, I'm not excusing anything, but this wasn't something that was in the main public space, at least when they made the film. So I
Yeah.
can't like be angry at the film, because they
Oh
didn't
yeah.
like know
I
that
just
when they made it.
didn't know, especially because it's Disney and they like want to protect their image and stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't know if something was going to happen. Also,
who knows?
potential fun fact. Um, Kenneth Branagh. So we could have 2 years in a row. If Belfast wins Best Picture, like it's currently, I would say projected to. If Belfast wins Best Picture, this would be 2 years in a row where a director made a Disney film that was then pushed, and after that, made like a passion project that came out first that won Best Picture. Because
Oh
Chloe Zhao
yeah.
did that with Eternals, which was shot and then pushed, and then she made Nomadland and got that out, won Best Picture, and then Eternals came out. So very unique situation where it could happen twice.
It could.
All right. Summer of Soul, great documentary.
Oh, by
It's
the way, Dan says that it's there's no current plan to remove him from the film, and it's still set for release for February.
all right. That's surprising from Disney. Like I'm not again not condoning anything, but like that's kind of surprising coming from Disney. I was expecting them to do something.
I mean, maybe their
But
perspective is sort of the same in that they went into that arrangement in good faith, and that
yeah,
they shouldn't necessarily be blamed for what was at that time a decision that was a business decision that they didn't have a reason not to make.
yeah. No, I think it's the right move not to do anything. I know
Well, I
it's a
mean,
weird situation, but
since we lost Christopher Plummer, we don't exactly have somebody on standby that can just replace somebody at the drop of a hat in a movie. So
yeah, yeah. But yeah, Summer of Soul is a great documentary. You should all watch it. And Questlove is just like Questlove's a cool dude. So like go watch this movie. Also just swept the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards. Won all 6 that it was nominated for, including picture.
wow.
Watch Quo Vadis Aida, which was very, very good on Canopy. Get Canopy if you can. If you got a local library card, link it to Canopy. They got so much stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, Quo Vadis Asian of, I believe, Bosnia and Herzegovina by Serbia to escape. It's brutal. It's heart wrenching. It's great. Another movie that's brutal and heart wrenching and great is 12 Years a Slave.
Yes,
Love
and
Stephen
I
King.
mentioned to you that I have not seen it.
Yes.
Add it to the list.
Um,
This is why I don't do the big boy schmodown.
just suited to different styles of play. You just have a more specialized style of play. So then I did a Jane Campion double feature because I saw The Piano, which I loved. Cannot wait for the Criterion, which is in January. Criterion 4K. Yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, Anna Paquin as an 8-year-old, holy crap, what a performance! Totally deserving of the Oscar. I think she was not 8. She was 8 or 9, but like, wow, she was so good. Everybody in that movie is so good. Jane Campion should have won best director. Like she should have. But yeah, it's a great movie. Everybody should check it out. And then I saw The Power of the Dog. And loved it. It's very, very good.
We haven't seen it yet.
Um,
So it's on the list. We have a lot of theatrical stuff that we were trying to squeeze in here, including Belfast. We do have our House of Gucci tickets reserved because I have to know if that glorious train wreck is just glorious or if it's a glorious train wreck.
yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah,
but
it
yeah.
could be excellent or it could be excellently entertaining flaming trash. I have no clue.
Okay, so that's what I feel about Don't Look Up. I think that Don't Look Up is going to be either excellent or excellent flaming trash.
Yeah, I'm really excited about
Um,
that. That's like that sort of comedy is very much my speed.
yeah. Um, it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, The Power of the Dog is great. Like minimal spoilers. Cody Smith McPhee is phenomenal. I hope to God he gets an Oscar nomination because he's so good.
Oh wow.
But yeah, like it's a very very good movie. We did have somebody ask a question in the chat. I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm not Dhiraj. So sorry. I probably horribly pronounced that. But it says, hey guys, first time here. I've been following since a few months. Off topic. Got any suggestions for someone trying to become a commenter on pop culture? Thank you. Mara, you've been doing it longer than I have.
I would say that especially Dan's advice, particularly to anybody that wants to offer a perspective on anything, is to find your voice. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Everyone has their own way, like the words you use to describe something, the perspective with which you bring to things, like knowing yourself is part of knowing how you're going to react to things that you see. So, because our own experiences inform our perspective and our likes and our dislikes. Also, depending on what you want to comment on, like a good base knowledge about whatever it is. Like, for example, I would not be the best sports commentator for, let's just say, baseball, because like I don't know how baseball stats work. I love watching baseball. I'm fairly familiar overall with like the landscape of teams and players, but like stats, so far over my head. So if I was ever going to have like a legitimate interest in talking about baseball, I would need to do a little homework. So, just being well informed, keeping your finger on the pulse with current events about whatever the space is that you're interested in, and get comfortable being on camera if you're going to be on camera, or be comfortable speaking like through a podcast. Practice, because that's the great thing, is that you can practice beforehand, because it doesn't come naturally to everybody.
Yeah. So like I've podcasted for like 2 years now. If somebody would like to dig up the old ones, please don't. My voice is pretty squeaky. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it took a while to get like used to it. Like even to this point, like I still wouldn't say that I'm like great at podcasting, but like I've improved, and it's taken a couple of years, but I'm definitely way more comfortable on the microphone and in front of camera than I was when I started. So it takes a while, but yeah, like you were saying, just finding your voice. Like I just you try, and like when you see like film reviews and stuff that are like super like eloquently like written and stuff, and like the New York Times or something, like it's hard to not to try and like do an impression of that. Or like if you're really like a film critic, say you really like Dan, like to not just like do what Dan does with his reviews, like have like his same kind of like vernacular, and like try and like take like say your opinions as Dan says his opinions, etc. Right? You could do this with anybody, but just like coming up with your own way of doing things, because like you can take inspiration. Like I know Dan said that he was inspired by Roger Ebert, but like he isn't doing a Roger Ebert impression. He's doing Dan inspired by Roger Ebert and his own personal experiences. So like it all just depends. Like I've been doing a lot of Oscars podcasts because I like Oscars. So like finding a niche within the thing that you like. I love films, and I specifically love Oscars. So I talk a lot about Oscars, and yeah, I did like 1 minute reviews. Like I do, I just did like one combo thing for like Red Notice, Starter, They Fall and Finch, 3 1-minute reviews. It's just like finding creative things, because like especially film reviews are very oversaturated. There's a lot. So just like finding a way to make it unique and personal to you. I mean, I'm going to have a different perspective on things than somebody like, again, using Dan, for example, because I even just like from age, like I'm going to look at films in a different way, but like, that's okay. You don't have to have an opinion that's like exactly like everybody else. That's what makes it interesting. Having variety within the conversation. So like as boring of an answer as it is, and as hard as it can be sometimes, just like completely and entirely being yourself. And you'll always find people that will latch onto that. Because like obviously nobody's exactly like you, but you'll find people that will find pieces of themselves or pieces of their opinions within yours. Which is, you're only really going to accomplish that if you are just being yourself and portraying your own opinions. So that's my incredibly long answer of somebody who hasn't been doing this long.
I agree completely. I was thinking about it though. I've been checking our time. Should we probably get to Ghostbusters?
We should get to Ghostbusters. That was actually going to be the next thing. That's very funny. That was the next thing I watched after Power of the Dog.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
I did also watch the 2016 Ghostbusters, and it's a movie. But yeah, okay, so Ghostbusters Afterlife. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first. I mean, we had a conversation about it just before we went on the air, just to kind of like see where each other was coming from, and I think that Trevor's criticisms are absolutely valid. They're well formulated, because that's the other thing. For example, like I can always get behind someone liking something more than I did or less than I did if they can explain and tell me why, because then it makes me understand them more, and it helps me understand maybe why I like something as much as I do or not as much as I do. So we're gonna make sure to keep this spoiler free. It's still very fresh. Like I guess I don't want to talk about the word fresh is probably not the right word to use for it, sadly, tomato meter wise, but it is just still, not a lot of people have seen it yet, possibly. So making sure we keep it spoiler free. But I think that the elements of nostalgia that they had were perhaps a little much in places, but right at the point where I became cognizant of thinking like, oh, I don't know if I would have done this much, it like abruptly and immediately stopped. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just back in the movie. So I was aware of it at times, but it didn't bother me. And I think the thing that totally seals it for me is the idea that there is a very important emotional moment at the end of the film that I think they straight up 10 out of 10 nailed. And I think if they hadn't done that, I would not have liked the movie as much overall. I do think that they did a really good job of developing the characters. Some of the interactions that they have may not like service the narrative plot, but I think for me they worked because they help inform who they are. One of the characters specifically, this isn't a spoiler because it's just a part of who this person is.
Yeah.
They're not as expressive emotionally, and I relate to that a lot. And I love that they did not typify this character with a diagnosis of some kind by saying that they may or may not have an autism spectrum disorder, or maybe like a social anxiety related disorder, which don't get me wrong, I love having those conversations. I think they're so important. But I also think that you don't need to know someone whether they do or don't have a diagnosis of anything, or simply if they're for maybe a cultural reason or just a developmental reason, like inside of their own family structure, not as emotive as other people. You don't need to know that in order to be able to understand and accept somebody. And I like that the people around this character accepted that person for who they were, and that we didn't have to put a label on that. So I thought that that was such really good positive messaging about how to understand other people. I there's a certain small creature that's in the movie that I adore and that I need to have in my life for reals. And if I can ever make that happen, I'm going to have it happen. I'm sure there'll be a Funko Pop of it, and I want it.
I don't think if it's the small creature that I think you're referring to, I believe it's in the trailer.
It is, but I know not everybody watches the trailer,
Okay.
so I do want it just in case. Because we only saw the very first teaser that had like nothing in it, and then the second, like basically effectively the first full trailer, and that wasn't in that trailer. And so I was aware of it, but only very briefly. And so when it happened, when that character, that little creature came into the movie, I was like floored and freaking out and just like giggling aggressively. And luckily everyone else in our theater was too, but like I was just, man, I was a giggle box, and it was delightful. But
I will say,
I mean, I'm not saying the movie's exceptional, because like it's not necessarily like a slam dunk in all things, but particularly at the end, they like swung for the fences and hit a home run on the fast curveball. Like it was just delightful to behold. And I also think that one of the reasons why I can excuse some of the heavier nostalgia beats is because this movie felt like it was done with such sincerity and affection, both for the creators and for the original film in and of itself. So that's why it worked for me a lot. But Trevor, I would love to have you revisit for the audience why it didn't work as much for you.
So before I give my probably unpopular opinion, I do
Well,
want
if
to
you
address
look
two
at
things.
the tomato meter, yours is not an unpopular
It's
opinion.
still fresh. It's still fresh. It's at a 61%.
Yeah.
I do want to address two things in the chat. Simon says, I often wonder what post 2000s kids are going to get nostalgic about. As a post 2000s kid, I would argue. I don't know. I haven't noticed. Can you pull that back up, please? I don't know. I haven't noticed the cat
Oh,
with the
what
glasses.
you're going to
No,
get nostalgic about? I'm sorry, I
I
destroyed Trevor.
I don't know. I haven't noticed the cat with the stocking cap and the glasses before. That's
Isn't that
adorable.
awesome?
It's I don't know. I haven't noticed that. Anyways, it's adorable. I would say the MCU is probably the biggest thing. That's like the biggest cultural phenomenon. I would say now probably a lot of Pixar stuff too. Because like even Toy Story, even though that was 95 and like Toy Story 2 99, Bugs Life 98 were the only like pre 2000s Pixar stuff. You got to think a kid born in like 2001 to 6. Like you Toy Story 6 years old by the time that like that's still pretty fresh. So like
Yeah.
I think that it's gonna be a lot of Pixar and MCU.
I mean, I'm a kid that I shouldn't necessarily have nostalgia for really anything in the 80s because I was watching it in the 90s. But
Yeah.
I actually find that I have far greater nostalgia for like 80s and earlier properties in general than I do for like 90s stuff, which is kind of weird. But I think that's just because I gravitate towards the 80s as a decade so much.
Also, Simon says, I'm playing a video game with an ex Funko Pop artist right after the screen. If you need a custom one, I can make it happen. I will take you up on that. Also, Blake says, should I go see Ghostbusters or Dune for the 5th time? Watch Dune.
Here's my thing. If it's in the theater, then I definitely say Dune. But if the only way you can watch Dune is on HBO Max, then I say go see Ghostbusters again for the 5th time in a theater.
Okay.
Oh, hold on a second. Dan has a Dan is yelling at me.
If I may, I would recommend seeing any movie for the first time over seeing another movie for the 5th time.
Oh, I thought it was which should they see for the 5th time. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Oh yeah, I thought
thought
it was what you see for the 5th time. I guess it would make
thought-
sense to see Ghostbusters.
No, that makes
4
sense.
times.
You're right, Dan. I'm
That
sorry.
makes a lot more sense.
No, I agree
Yeah,
with Dan
I
then.
would recommend seeing Ghostbusters for the first time. Sorry, I misunderstood the question.
Okay.
I also misunderstood the question, so thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Yes.
Dan, do you wanna hang around in the event of any other Ghostbusters things you'd like to inject?
I'll
no.
listen to Trevor. I want to hear his perspective.
Okay.
I'll wave at you if I want to jump in.
Okay, or just text me because I might not notice you waving because I don't have my glasses on.
So I would argue that so the nostalgia stuff didn't bother me too much. I did think that there was a bit much, but that wasn't a massive issue for me in the film. I honestly love the original Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. I saw them for the first time when I was like 7 or 8. My dad had like a DVD set of them. Showed them to me on Halloween. It was great. It
Nice.
was a double feature. I love
Ooh,
Ghostbusters.
who's your favorite Ghostbuster?
I would probably say Bill Murray.
That's fine. I accept you for who you are. Oh, hey, buddy. Oi.
But who's yours? Is yours?
It's Egon.
Okay.
I was in love with Harold Ramis.
That makes a lot of sense.
It totally does.
Like that 100% makes sense. Yeah, no, I love Ghostbusters. Like I again, the nostalgia stuff didn't work for me entirely, but like I appreciated it. At points it did. At points it was a little just like remember this thing. Um, I mean the creatures in specific that you were referencing earlier, I didn't see the point of, I guess. I was just I was confused by a lot of those creatures scenes. Um, but again, that's just me personally. Overall, though, that was a massive issue. My biggest problem with the movie is the screenplay. I thought it was very sloppy. I think that there are a lot of things set up for characters and set up for the characters' arcs that aren't really followed through on. Again, staying as spoiler free as possible. Um, First of all, bonus points for having a character named Trevor. That's
Yes,
the
I thought about
Trevor
that the second
representation.
that the movie started and they said Trevor. I was like, oh my gosh, he gets another character.
I'm has there ever been I'm trying to think of like another Trevor aside from like Trevor Slattery or in Trevor the Toad in Iron Man 3 and Harry
There's
Potter.
someone else. I can't think.
Like I don't know what other Trevors there are. Simon says he relates to Slimer the most. I love that. Yeah, I can't think of any other Trevors. Somebody in chat can probably tell me one. But yeah, regardless though, there's a relationship that he has as a side character. Then McKenna Grace, her character makes a friend and they do a thing, and a lot of it was just felt very pointless to me. I didn't see any. It didn't make me fall in love with the characters at all. It kind of felt like wasted time where I could have seen stuff with them growing as characters. Instead, it just kind of seemed to be like, ooh, that's a goofy bit, but like the characters, because of that lack of setup, I guess, in the first act, some of the emotional beats that were supposed to hit in even the second act and the third act didn't work as well, just because the two main kids who are really the core of the movie, especially McKenna Grace, they felt an emotional they like out of reach. They felt out of arm's distance for me, which was unfortunate because like I wanted to connect to those characters. I really was trying to, and I couldn't get into their characters at all. And I think for me that it's mostly down to a lot of just like what came across to me as like meaningless stuff with side characters, and like Paul Rudd didn't do anything for me. um
I mean,
there's
Paul Rudd can do no wrong for me.
I like he was the only he did have the only laugh of the movie for me. It was the only time I laughed. I won't specify the moment. um but like I don't know. I don't know why the character needed to exist other than like something spoilery later on, but that could have very easily just been another character. Like I don't know. There are multiple characters in this movie, like all of the side characters basically that like didn't justify their existence as characters within the film. Which like I'm not saying that every single side character in a movie like has to be important, but like I feel like they should at least play some role into the plot or some role into character development. And they were trying to do that, but it just didn't fully come across. Like so much of the movie just felt like half cooked for me. Things were set up, ideas were had, and I do think that there's a lot of heart in the movie. I do think that it's sincere. I don't think quite as much heart as was trying to get across. Like I think the ending worked really well. I completely agree with you on that. Um, but just like the hour and a half of setup before we get to that ending just felt kind of like void and distant. I never was really actually able to get engaged and connected to the movie. And I think a lot of it just comes down to, for me, a messy screenplay.
And I think that for me, one of the reasons why the movie, one of the other reasons why I was surprised and like why I liked it so much is because I was very concerned. Um, Before the first full trailer, every time that the teaser was like shown or talked about, I was like, I don't know why they're making this movie, and I'm really concerned I won't like it. And it kind of reminded me of Toy Story 4, where like when they announced Toy Story 4, and Dan and I just looked at each other and we're like, I think that's a really bad idea. Oh, we're not gonna enjoy this very much. And we both really, really liked it.
Yeah.
And I was just so part of it maybe is the surprise factor of being concerned that I would just be one of the only I was concerned, I'm like, I'm gonna be one of the only people that doesn't like this, because it does seem like when I don't like something, very rarely am I part of a group of people that doesn't like something. I'm the only person that doesn't like it, and I feel like a killjoy, so I never get to talk about it because I'm like, well, I don't wanna steal anyone's joy, even though if you talk about it respectfully, you can disagree with people, but I'm like, when I don't like something, I'm just not gonna say anything because
Yeah.
especially, like, depending on what group of people you're in, you can just kind of be, like, eviscerated for not just, like, loving something because everyone else loves it,
Yeah.
internet. But I was just so delighted that I loved it so much, and I was also really lucky. I saw it in the ideal environment with a lot of people that were also whether they went in thinking they were gonna love it, hoping they were gonna love it, or just being there to watch it. Like, it was a very interactive, like, audience experience. The laughs did hit in my theater, in the places they were supposed to. I heard, lots of sniffling, in my theater, so the movie hit where it was supposed to hit for the group of people I was lucky enough to see it with.
Yeah. I Nick says you were a part of the group of people that did not like the Home Alone.
Right, but I'm
Um,
not a minority. I think in general, most people
yeah.
didn't like it. I just hate when I'm the outlier where it's like, "Oh, I'm the only one that doesn't like this."
Okay, we don't like Pulp Fiction that much. I think we're both part of that minority group.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize it for what it did at the time, but it just doesn't hit for me now. Um,
Again, similar
but
to my Matrix and Halloween takes.
mhm,
Um, I yeah, like and I recognize that this will this will work for a lot of people. My audience was also very engaged. There was somebody that actually showed up in an Ecto one, like a Ghostbusters car, um, to the theater, which was really cool.
oh, that is cool.
My dad absolutely loved it. I shouldn't say absolutely loved it. He really liked it. But yeah, I just a lot of those emotional moments, like without spoilers, the ending has an emotional moment. I don't think that's that much of a spoiler, and I just like I don't know. I had a weird reaction to it where I was like, I appreciate this as it going for an emotional moment, but it didn't hit with me emotionally in the slightest. Um, and again, I keep coming back to just the really lack of connection that I gained to the characters. I think is really the biggest problem. Like I disagree with a lot of people who are saying like nostalgia is the biggest problem with the movie because like
Yeah,
while I do think it is a slight problem, I to me it's nowhere near the biggest problem.
I agree. Well, plus
Um,
also, like, I'm not saying that this is, like, a specific person or a lot of people, but I would be really curious to look at how many people that really, like, aggressively and vociferously don't like this movie, blaming it on nostalgia, liked The Force Awakens. Because
yeah,
if you have this problem with this movie, I don't think that you're capable of like giving a aggressively positive review of The Force Awakens because it also has heavy amounts of nostalgia in it. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
even The Last Jedi has like more things that are homages or like ripoffs or like very slightly pivoted allusions to The Empire Strikes Back as well. So like
yeah,
I would just be really curious to see like when all you can say is there's too much nostalgia. I don't consider that a valid reason for you to give it like a 38%. Like I just want to
yeah,
hear more about why like what other things contributed to that because I don't feel like that's enough to diminish the film that much.
yeah. And like I don't even with like my criticisms, like I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Like I said this in my letterbox review. This is by no means the worst kind of movie. To me, it was just the most frustrating kind of movie because I saw a lot of potential. I saw a lot that like it was going for, and nothing just nothing came together for me in the third act, like it was supposed to. And like I think The Force Awakens is mid-tier Star Wars. I don't think it's great. But again, not for reasons of like nostalgia that I have a problem with it. Like I really don't have that much of a problem with nostalgia. Like, can it be frustrating watching like that being the sole reason for a movie? Yes.
Yeah,
But like
definitely.
nostalgia shouldn't be like demonized. Like it's okay to have nostalgia for something and to see that nostalgia represented across on screen. Um so I very much disagree with people who are like saying nostalgia is the like unless it's like I don't know, the Lion King remake. Like I don't think nostalgia is a valid criticism of a lot of movies. But yeah, it's just I think I would argue that like I don't know. I do think that my opinion is going to be very unpopular. Just because even the people that didn't like the movie aren't going to agree with me. But
Well, see, I think
I
that
appreciate the
you can
movie.
explain why you feel the way you feel about it, though. I just think that fully validates what you're saying about it. Like, you're not just saying,
Yeah,
"Okay, so I didn't like it. It had too many of the things where it's like, oh, look, that thing people know.' Like, it's just not enough for me. Like, I just wanna hear more. Like, I'm okay
yeah,
with people not liking it if they can explain why. Like, I don't mind. I love for
yeah,
people to love things. I hate when people don't like things just because it's it's not fun. Like, it's never fun to be like, "Oh, I didn't really like that." But,
yeah.
you know,
And I completely agree with what Simon said. I think nostalgia is good when it comes from a place of creativity rather than a marketing department. Completely agree with that. And like
I
yeah, so like
agree.
Jesse, like I
Hi,
love
Jesse.
that people are loving this movie. I absolutely love like because it's like
Because 'cause you're not a
it's
joy
fun
thief.
for people love movies. I don't want to take that joy away from people. I wish I could have loved this as much as other people, especially since I do love Ghostbusters. But it didn't work for me. Ooh, there's 28 films and Mara with 8.
1,157th on the list.
uh, oh, Nick asked if I've seen Goodfellas. Yes, I have, and it's very good.
I agree. I also really like it.
Um,
Well, do we wanna
should
talk about
we?
Tick, Tick, Boom for a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about Tick Tick Boom. Well, do you want to talk about Tick Tick Boom or the Spider-Man trailer first?
Why don't we talk about Tick, Tick, Boom first, and then we'll
Okay,
close out with the Spider-Man trailer. That
sounds
way,
good.
just in case if, like, because I know there are some people who are like, "I'm not watching it." That way they can tune out at the end of the episode if they, have
Yeah,
0 interest in talking about that trailer.
yeah. Um, I can start with Tick Tick Boom. Um, I okay. So the first act, I was a little unsure. The first act was very all over the place. There's a lot going on. And like it just basically says tone, never heard of it. It's all over the place. Um, but then as it starts to kind of settle in and like the framing device that they're using becomes more apparent, I want to stay as spoiler free as possible because it's pretty fun how they use it.
Yes.
But there's a really fun framing device that's like incredibly meta. Um, but it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Andrew Garfield is phenomenal as Jonathan Larson.
He's
Um,
so good at singing, oh my god.
yeah. I also okay. I don't know why I didn't realize this. I watched an interview afterwards, and he's British.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It freaked
I
me out the first time I heard it. I mean, it was a long time ago, but I was just like, "Huh?"
I don't know why I didn't know this.
His accent work is just really, really good. He's one of the few people that really ever breaks accent. Like sometimes in the middle of a sentence, you hear like a certain vowel
Yeah.
noise or like a long consonant that you don't normally hear in American English, particularly depending on the region. But he never breaks accent. He's so good.
Yeah, I put him like next to like Robert Pattinson as like some of the
Mm.
best accent work.
Well, Pattinson is
Um,
also fascinating because he actually has said that he never uses his authentic accent even when he plays an English character. He always
yeah,
uses a slightly different version of like, a regional accent from
yeah.
the UK. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Blake, it's 100% worth watching if you haven't seen Rent.
Oh yeah, I've never
Um,
seen Rent.
Me
So
neither. I've never seen Rent. There is a live theater production coming to my town, in January, so I might actually watch it.
so
Um,
I didn't know, by the way, that Rent was a loose adaptation of La Boheme. Blew my freaking mind because La Boheme is one of my favorite operas ever. Like I'm a dead mark for Puccini, like one of my most favorite creative minds in history. And so I've never been like riveted about the idea of seeing Rent. I'm like, I kind of want to live in the universe where I just know enough about Rent because of Team America World Police. And obviously recognizing the actual gravity of that storytelling, I 100% do. But like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I just want to be silly and just, I'll see it. It's at some point I will. But now I'm like, I have to see this. I have to see it right now. I have to. Now that I know
yeah,
that it's a loose adaptation of La Boheme, like,
I'm obsessed with Jonathan Larson. Um, like it's yeah. Okay, so I related so much to this character. I told this to you, like I have some of the conversations he has with other characters about hyper obsession.
mm-hmm.
Um, I have had with other people. I very easily become hyper obsessed over things. I've done it my entire life. It's part of ADHD. It's just I see something and this is like all of my life is this. But like in just like having so much ambition and being over ambitious at times. Like I just the character of Jonathan Larson just it yeah, it worked so much for me. I related so much to that character. And Garfield portrays it amazingly. So I think it has some tonal issues and it's a little messy, but like Andrew Garfield is so good.
By the way, do you want to take the first stab at answering Garth's question?
Yeah, so it does. Um I I don't want to say I'll
Well,
say
let's just
spoilers.
say that I think it does in a really earnest way that
It
feels
does.
very,
Yeah.
from what I understand, it's a very accurate depiction of of why that would be included in the film, and I
Yeah.
think it's very affecting, and it's done really, really well.
It's one of the more emotional parts of the film. Um it's really really well handled, I think. It doesn't use it cheaply or in like a patronizing way.
No, not at
It's
all.
handled really beautifully, I would say. And gracefully and real. Uh, so yeah, I thought it was done very well.
I agree.
Um,
This is, I think, maybe
but
one of my favorite movies of the year.
completely, I just talking about it, I can't wait to rewatch it. Like
I wanna get the music because, like, some of
yeah,
those songs, especially because okay, so here's the thing, people. Jonathan Larson wrote all those songs. Like, because at first I was
yeah,
asking Dan, I was like, "Oh, hey, did Lin-Manuel Miranda write the music for this movie?" Because I'm, like, really loving it because I love Broadway feeling music, like, especially
yeah.
Broadway of that era. And he's like, "No." So it turns out Jonathan Larson wrote all this music. It's his music. And it just, like, I was so there for it. So I must
Yeah.
have all this music now.
Okay, so by the end of there is a climactic song using the framing device in reference, and it all comes together. And by the like when credits were rolling, my heart was beating so fast. Like I had a similar so like part of how I judge a movie is like my BPM, my beats per minute by the end of the
I
film.
do too.
And it was very similar to Promising Young Woman. The end of Promising Young
Oh,
Woman. Like very different endings, but like similar, just like my heart's gonna beat out of its chest.
I like to look at what my pulse is on my Fitbit, especially like for example, the end of the duel, the last duel. My heart rate was like at 124 beats per minute because I was just like, who's gonna win? Like, so I
Yeah,
love looking at like how is my body reacting? Like, how much is this movie stimulating my physical body? Like, that's so interesting to me.
because that's like that's just like your body's like honest reaction to a movie.
Yeah.
That and like tears, I would say. But like, yeah, it was so good. I really really love this movie.
Yeah. I don't even know, like, sometimes something is just so good, like, I can sit there and I can dissect it, but just as a fully formed thing, like,
Yeah,
and it also, I mean, it's carried so much by the fact that Andrew Garfield is not a good actor who was given good voice lessons to sing really well for someone who's not a singer. He
yeah,
has a natural gift for singing. He clearly was probably coached in some way, but like he gave, if he was on Broadway, I legitimately think he could hack it. Like he is phenomenal because he doesn't just sing on pitch. He doesn't just sing to the musical cues. He can sing with emotion, so you know what he's feeling based on what he's singing. Like that's really, really hard to do.
yeah. Okay. So I was trying to think about this movie's Oscars potential. Um, I think sound is a very real thing. I think sound absolutely happens for it.
I hope
Um,
so.
I think editing should happen.
Hmm.
The editing's very, very good. I hope that Robin De Jesus gets supporting actor. I hope he comes out of
Hmm.
nowhere and breaks into the category. Um, it's really interesting for Garfield for lead because I think that like Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Benedict Cumberbatch, and probably Peter Dinklage at this point are locked. I think that they're very strong. And then you have that last spot where it's Andrew Garfield versus Leonardo DiCaprio versus Adam Driver versus Bradley Cooper in House of Gucci, Don't Look Up, and the
Nightmare
Licorice
Alley.
Pizza. Or
Or
sorry, yeah, Nightmare Alley. Licorice
yeah.
Pizza supporting. Yeah, Nightmare Alley.
But
Those
yeah, I don't
four
know. I think that it's
will be
hard to
close.
say judging against everyone else, but like just his performance on its own, I think is 100% worthy of a
Yeah.
nomination.
Oh, 100%. I think he'll get in for one movie this year because they're also going to category frauded him into supporting for Eyes of Tammy Faye, which like
I think in a way though, that was a smart
okay.
thing to do given now that I've seen Tick Tick Boom.
Oh, 100%. It's just like, category fraud.
Yeah.
But I think he gets in for one of them. And even though I think he's better in Tick Tick Boom, I think his chances are stronger for Eyes of Tammy Faye just because supporting actor's so wide open. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it
there's
usually
really
is.
no locks for supporting actor. And, like, I don't think we're going to see something like we saw with Daniel Kaluuya last year, where like we just have a late breaker that just surges. That would have to be Bradley Cooper, if anything. But I would love to see him get double nominated this year. How great would that be?
It'd be so great. Although I would also be fine with him getting one nomination but then winning.
Yes.
Because I do
Yeah.
think if he's double nominated, he will likely not win either award.
Yeah.
Because I
I
think there will be enough people that like say, "Oh, well, in supporting, I'm going to vote for this person because he's probably I'll vote for him for lead," and then
yeah.
other people will do the other thing, and it'll split his votes too much.
Yeah. I I lead's just gonna be so much harder for him to win
I know,
because
but
Will Smith is so strong right now. But like supporting, like it's weird. Like I think he's higher up on the list of lead, but lead's harder, and like he's lower down on the list for supporting, but like supporting's easier to get into. So he's at a really
yeah,
weird point. But I hope that he gets like a massive surge from this. Um,
I really hope so. He's so good.
it's so good. Yeah, Tick Tick Boom is a very strong recommendation. It's
Yes.
very, very good. Before Spider-Man, I would like to touch on two movies, just briefly. One
Did
of
you
them is
ask those movies for permission first?
huh? Oh,
Sorry, that was a really bad consent joke. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I at least you didn't pull up Boss Baby.
I was going to, but now I won't. Here, how about this? I'll pull up something I haven't pulled up yet. Remember that movie Lawnmower Man we talked about?
I
Okay, I'm sorry.
O Planeta. I watched Amelia Ullman's directorial debut. Have you guys seen it?
No, not yet.
It is available to stream. on Amazon Prime to rent, I guess. And it's very good.
Good.
It's a like if you like the French New Wave, you'll like this movie. It's a love letter to just like the French New Wave. It's a really fun, like it's short, it's an hour 20 minutes. It's in the Spanish language. I believe it was produced in Spain. But it's in like post-crisis Spain. And then it's about this mother and daughter who are like trying to like do like petty crimes and like cons to like uphold the like level of like light like social status and life that they had before the economic crisis in Spain. And it's just like a really fun like slice of life movie, but it's so much a love letter to the French New Wave, which I really like. Cleo from 5 to 7 from Agnes Varda is one of my favorite movies ever. I really love a lot of the French New Wave stuff. I mean, you have Agnes Varda, Jean-Luc Godard, Jacques Tati, Jacques Demy, some really phenomenal directors coming out of there. And this was just a really nice love letter to that era of filmmaking. So if that interests you at all, I check it out. And then, so I've talked about how much I love Shiva Baby. A movie has dethroned it. Shiva Baby is now number 2 of the year. As much as I still do love that movie, the film 9 Days, the directorial debut.
I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna say the Boss Baby dethroned the Shiva Baby. You can see both my hands. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm not gonna do it again.
9 Days from Ed Sonoda. I have watched this film now twice within the past 48 hours. Because I had to rewatch it. Are you familiar with this film at all?
I'm not, but honestly though, your description, I can't wait because you raved about Shiva Baby and you raved about Bo Burnham Inside, and I loved both of them. So I'm very, very excited.
These are my top 3 of the year right now. 9 Days, Shiva Baby, and Bo Burnham Inside. Those are my clear, distinct top 3. So I've got you to watch. Got you to watch 2 of them so far. But yeah, so 9 Days, it is the concept in a broad sense of that. I know Dan didn't get to do his weird like vocoder thing. But without giving too much away, the general premise is that there is a man who is part of a community of people who oversee beings on Earth. So each of these people is given like 20 people on Earth that they watch over. Okay. And when one of them dies, they get to select from a group of unborn souls and bring them through an interview process to choose the person, to choose like the soul that gets to be born, and take the place and become like the new one, like join the group of people they're watching over. And there's like a whole community of these people who select who gets to be born on Earth as a collective group and then watches over them.
That sounds so good. Where is it? And where can I watch it?
You can stream it, I think, anywhere. I know you can stream it on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Would be probably the most accessible place, but you can stream it. It's like, I think $5 to rent anywhere. Like it's 2 hours long, but like it doesn't feel like it. It tackles so many themes, and they're themes that have been addressed in film before, but the nature in which it approaches these themes is just incredible. I mean, like Zazie Beetz is amazing. She's so good. Also, Winston Duke is amazing. Benedict Wong is amazing. There are some phenomenal performances.
Okay.
I cried for a solid 30 minutes on both watches after watching the film.
My.
Comparable to The Father in La La Land cry time.
Yeah, you're right. I can rent it. Ooh, can I buy it? Ooh, I think it's buyable.
But yeah, this movie, it's so much. Like I I will watch it with you after the stream for a third time within like 48 hours. This is racking up like Shiva Baby. Shiva Baby's at 9 watches in like 4 months now, and this is
I
gonna
think
get
you
up
might need a small emotional break. If I don't watch it before a couple days from now, then once you're on Thanksgiving break, then I'll put you through that emotional torture.
I wouldn't call it emotional torture. It's just like there are plenty of happy tears. Like it's just like it is
Oh,
just like emotionally overwhelming, like in both happy and sad. Like it's just like life. Like it's just like it makes like reconsidering like life, um, and like just what your purpose is in the world, and why you were born, and what was seen in you to be born, and what you should do with that, and puts it like if somebody was watching your life, like would you do something differently? Would you like treat it with more care? Like would you try and accomplish more? Like there's so many things. Like it's feel good but also just like gut wrenching at the same time. It's it's so perfect. It's just a perfect movie. Highly suggest, like those are my three. Shiva Baby, Inside, and 9 days. With like the level of like perfectness just below that for the year being like Spencer, and Annette and the Green Knight into Time. Like that's the stuff.
that's
Um,
the stuff.
that's the stuff. But yeah, in 9 days is it's perfect. But let's touch on Spider-Man as we wrap up.
Yes. Um, I'm I'm excited for it. The hype machine makes me less excited for it, if I'm being totally honest. Like
Yeah,
the hype and anticipation of this movie, it is just like nth degree, and I can understand it, but like that doesn't work for me. Also, by the way, especially after seeing Tick Tick Boom, every single person that interviewed Andrew Garfield for that movie and asked him about Spider-Man needs to be slapped in the face, because that is such an insult to how good he is
yeah,
in that movie. And I will say it one last time. I don't understand why people give a crap about him being in a Spider-Man movie, because most people don't like him being Spider-Man. So
right.
you bandwagoners can shut up.
I will say, okay, so I want to talk about Andrew Garfield quick. So I have this Blu-ray set of the Amazing Spider-Man films,
Nice.
but it's a book, like it's like a book about. Let's see if I can open it up. It's like a book about the making of the film, and it's
That's
like
cool.
how it's bound is like it's like a book, like it's like a little book thing. It's really weird. I've never seen anything else like this as far as like a Blu-ray. I don't know if you guys have ever seen one, but it's like a book with movies inside of it.
Dan?
What?
Oh, you're not listening, are you?
I'm listening. Sorry, I don't. I'm writing, so I don't have the video up. What's up?
Oh,
Oh,
I was just asking,
yeah,
have
he
you
was
ever
showing
seen
you
anything
his
like
copy
this?
of Amazing
Like
Spider-Man films.
where it's bound like a book.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of those. I think Taxi Driver. I have. It looks
Okay.
kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd never seen any of those before. So
They're rare.
Hey, Dan,
Yes.
I'm thirsty,
Well, you're in much closer proximity to drinks than I am.
but I don't know how.
You want me to come downstairs and get you something to drink? Okay.
that's called power. Uh
No, it's called being the baby of your family and learning how to pout.
I mean it's basically the same thing. Um yeah, so I agree with Nick. I found this trailer to be kind of underwhelming. I it's underwhelming, and then it's like overwhelming, I guess, but overwhelming in a bad way.
Yeah,
It's overwhelming in a bad way, resulting in it being underwhelming. because the English language is weird and words have multiple meanings that are kind of the same. So that sentence technically makes sense, but also no. I like it seems like a lot. It just seems like we're gonna throw a lot of things onto a movie screen, and then like John Watts has traditionally done better with smaller stuff. We've seen that
Yeah.
in the past. I don't know if I trust John Watts with larger stuff because he's phenomenal with small stories, even outside of the MCU. Like he's a really good director with like really small contained stories, and this is a lot.
Yeah, the one thing I am very glad about is Dan and I were sitting here like grating our teeth. Like, I swear if they show a bunch of Spider-Men, I'm
Yeah,
gonna riot. And I'm very, very glad that whatever element of the multiverse that they're going to be bringing in, confirmed or unconfirmed, I don't want to know. I want to go into the movie and like just be surprised by it if they're gonna do it. I'm so glad they didn't do it in that trailer. I mean, there's
yeah,
still time for them to screw it up, but like as of this point, at least they didn't do that.
yeah,
It was also
yeah,
interesting though to see like other villains like Lizard, where there's that voiceover narration that talks about like all of these villains were killed fighting Spider-Man, except he definitely wasn't. Like there's just
yeah.
like there's so much confusing in it where I'm like, but wait, why'd you put that in there? Like there's like 3 villains in there that definitely didn't die fighting Spider-Man.
Right. Like, yeah, I will say, my friend Thomas, who I do my Oscars podcast, Oscar Buzz with, check it out. But he pointed out when we were talking about this trailer, one of the last shots was like slow motion and Peter's jumping at Sandman. There's Electro and somebody else there, but they're very
Lizard.
obviously looking at other
Something else. Yeah.
something else. Like they're just like jumping at air. So like there's obviously something there. Like they're obviously in the movie. Okay, like it's pretty obvious. But like I'm glad that we weren't explicitly shown.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see the multiverse I kind of see the multiverse as just a way to write yourself out of a corner. Like 2021 somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah, I introducing the concept is just like we can do anything now, which like it's fun, but it's also very lazy.
Yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing. Like, I think it just depends on how it's done. Like, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse totally worked because they were starting and like doing it. And that was the crux of them being able to tell that story. That was like the linchpin to there either is a movie or there isn't a movie. And we've
Yeah,
already been in this Spider-Man's life. We've seen him in 5 other movies. So it's like, I don't, this pivot feels a bit lazy, but I mean,
yeah,
they could totally pull it off. Like, I'm not saying that it is, it could be seen that way because personally, I love small Spider-Man stuff. Like, Friendly
agree,
Neighborhood Spider-Man is my favorite. That's why he's one of my favorite people to
100%.
follow. So, like, the bigger this gets, depending on how it goes, and it's not just like big in terms of stakes, it's also big in terms of story. Like,
Yeah,
the more involved it is, the more I may not be as likely to latch onto it, but it doesn't mean that I won't.
yeah. While we're on the topic of Spider-Man, I do want to recommend a comic book miniseries. It's 6 issues, and it's called Spider-Man Life Story. I believe it's written by Chip Zdarsky. But like it is very, very good. It basically, so we start with Peter Parker in the 60s in the first issue, and he's like 16 years old, and then it goes through each decade: 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, thousands, and then tens. But he actually ages along with
Oh, that's
everything.
cool.
And like so does all the other characters. So like it keeps like in the Civil War story in the 2000s issue. So this, but in like Iron Man and Captain America are all there, but at this point they're all like 50, 60 years old.
Exactly the way you
um
want to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. But it brings up some really interesting things about like age within superheroes that we've never seen before. And there was a spin-off of it that was Fantastic Four life story that kind of crosses over with it. Reed Richards is not a great guy. But the life story comics are very good. Specifically Spider-Man life story might be my favorite comic miniseries. So check it out. The trade paperback's like only like $15 if you want to pick it up.
I will say this though, I'm really optimistic just because I I really like this. I love Tom Holland as this character. And I'm not saying he's my favorite one or like, oh, he's the best one, but I like seeing him. And so I'm really hoping that this movie, at least at a minimum, if the things around him don't like mesh well for me, I hope that he still does.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Also,
he's just such a good actor. If they give
he's
him good
really
material to work with, like how could he not hit it out of the park? And I hope that he gets to be as physical as possible because that's one of the other reasons why I've liked some of the previous films a lot is because he, with his background, being able to do as many of like the mocap or like straight up practical stunts on wires and stuff, I'd love to see as much of that as possible.
Ooh, okay, so Nick's asking, I'm curious to see if we see for some of the Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse show up. I would
I've
lose
seen
my
people
mind.
talk about that.
Would it make sense? No, but Spider-Verse is one of my favorite movies ever, so I would lose my mind. If Peter Porker jumped through a portal, like, you have me.
If that was a post-credit stinger, I would like it. I don't know if it belongs in the movie proper,
Agreed. Agreed.
but I'd be you never know, like, there's all sorts of things like the Toy Story 4 thing. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna freaking suck." Like, I was not,
Yeah.
like, excited about it, and I love the movie, I love it. So, any reservation I have about something does not, like, paint the picture of what I'm guaranteed to think. It's just
Yeah.
I think part of it legitimately is just as a person with a large debate background, I really always look at the extremes of both sides and then I find my way into the middle and then I decide where I fall after that. Like I
Yeah.
like to examine all of the perspectives, whether I agree with them or not. I just like to think about them and the what ifs.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Um,
Plus, I
yeah,
never want a movie to
this
be bad. I just never want
yeah.
that.
I will say the writing in this that we've seen from the trailer has me a little skeptical. I I really like Zendaya as an actress. I think that even if Malcolm and Marie wasn't like amazing, I thought she was really good in that. Obviously, she's great in the few episodes I've seen of Euphoria. Haven't finished it because TV's hard. But in what I've seen, she's amazing. Like she's a very good actress. Revisiting Homecoming and Far From Home, she is not written the best. Like
I really did not like her in Homecoming at all.
she is like for how good of an actress she is, like how her character is written. Like she's a little better in Far From Home, but it's still not
Yeah.
great. Like she's written very weirdly. Like in this movie, the plea or in this trailer, like the please line just felt so weird, like and out of nowhere. Like I don't know. I was not a big fan of how I haven't been a big fan of how her character is written, and especially in this. Like it just how her character is written is not doing it for me. Also, there's a line in this, okay, where Peter Parker says the only time this has felt normal was the week you found out. But that's literally just Spider-Man Far From Home and when his identity was revealed. That was the week that was normal? Really? That like I don't know. The writing the writing is a little skeptical.
Oh, I will say one thing though that I saw in the trailer that I was just like, I do not want this is Mary Jane falling from a height
Yeah.
cliche. I don't
Yeah.
need anybody falling
No.
from a height with that exact like camera angle and I'm going after you. Is your head gonna crack on the sidewalk like an egg? You know, like granted,
Yeah.
different character, but like still,
What
I've had enough of like attractive women that are involved with Peter Parker falling from heights.
what if that scene they reshot the scene from Amazing Spider-Man 2 and then they just like laid they like changed the suit and then laid it over like they shot two versions of that. This was the trailer version and then it's changed so that way Gwen and Peter fall through the portal like instead of her hitting like the ground she like falls through a portal with Peter. That's my theory that I
Nice.
just came up with 30 seconds ago.
Honestly, part of me would love it if like that was like if they actually like here's one of the things that I could actually get into is the idea that I know that this Mary Jane would not have any connection to Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, but the idea that he could possibly redeem himself and like if he
Yeah,
saved her falling like that the way he couldn't save Gwen. Like I could
I
actually
like
be
that.
into something like that where like he has to basically like put himself on the line to revisit intense personal trauma, trying to be a hero and what
Yeah.
was previously failing miserably, not just for an innocent person, but for somebody he loved. I could actually be
Yeah.
down for that. But that's like me really heavily projecting onto the movie. That's like not going to be a thing.
Yeah. So Emma Stone and Kirsten Dunst, I think, are supposed to be in this. I think that was part of the rumors. Um,
I've been doing very little investigating because I just want to go in and actually like be surprised, like
yeah. I don't know. I think there was something with that. I would like to see them in it. By the way, Kirsten Dunst is great in The Power of the Dog.
that's what I've
Gonna
heard.
throw that out there. She's very,
She's a
very
much
good.
better actress than people give her credit for.
Oh, 100%. Everybody in that movie is great. Like Jesse Plemons, Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Cody Smith McPhee. Like everybody in that movie is very, very good.
Also, she's
Um,
great in Melancholia.
I have not seen it.
It's dark and I like it.
Okay.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Um,
Don't hit the camera.
but yeah, like I'm cautiously optimistic. I was cautiously optimistic after the teaser, and this did nothing to like improve Kitty. Like
buddy.
I'm still just cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But do we have anything else, or should we wrap up?
I mean, I was thinking one thing I just want to let everybody know, we're working on this. Our intention is to put out a pre-taped episode
Yes.
for 1 week from now. So that would be the weekend of American Thanksgiving. And then that following weekend is the Schmodown Spectacular, of which I will be there spectating. I will be a spectacular spectator at Spectacular. A spectaculator? I don't know. But
sounds weird.
I'm getting a house with Jacob and Taylor and Adam and Marisol, and partially due to the event itself. Oh yeah, Dan will be there too. And also just the fact that we'll be with friends and we'll be spending quality time. We're actually going to be taking that week off. Also, I think that a lot of people are probably going to be paying attention to Spectacular, whether they're there or whether they're at home. I mean, on social media, whatever. Like, we don't want to compete with the Schmodown because obviously I have a strong affection for it. And also I'm going to be busy. And so we're going to be taking off that week. So pre-taped episode next week. We'd still love to see your comments, love to interact with you on social media when it's premiering. And skipping that week, and we will be back on December the 11th, if I have my dates right.
Yes. And
Great.
At some point, we're going to try and do a watch along of the one and only Hallmark Hanukkah film.
Yes. Also, by the way, sadly, this show will be skipping Hanukkah entirely because Hanukkah starts this next weekend. And it will be over by the time I'm back from the Spectacular trip. So anybody that is watching that's a fellow member of the tribe, happy Hanukkah.
Yes.
And then we'll do a ramp up for Christmas for some of our other viewers and for Trevor and for Dan when we get back.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, you don't have to see us stumble through a live show for the next 2 weeks. So you're welcome.
Well, by the way, I'm going to make sure, guys, that I'm going to go back also in our previous videos. I'm going to make sure I get all of Trevor's links in there. So if you want to double back to the video description later, all of his links are going to be included there and in all future episodes. I've just forgotten because I'm bad at my job.
Or you're busy, or as Cam says, busy baking.
I will be baking. Oh yeah. Hey, everybody, by the way. So we're catering most of Thanksgiving just because Dan has older relatives. And if we offer to make too much stuff, then like they'll make stuff and we want them to just relax and enjoy the holiday. But what I am making is I'm making my homemade yeast knots, which are a yeasted roll. I'm making my honey cornbread that's made from scratch. It's not Jiffy. I'm making my double crusted pumpkin pie, which is completely from scratch. I make my own double crust. I use full fat butter. That's the key. And I keep it ice cold. I make a double crusted pie because I like my crust. I like a lot of crust. And I use sugar pumpkins. So I make my own pumpkin puree, 100% from scratch. And I'm making my shortbread cookies again with eggnog ice cream from scratch as well. So that is what I'm making. I will be baking all day Wednesday. So when Dan's live show is happening, I might be in this kitchen baking the entire time while I try to manage the Streamlabs for him. So we'll see. But I'll be posting pics online, so check the Insta.
Nice, nice. Baking's fun.
It is fun.
I mean, I personally like as baking. Baking's like I've never really baked, but baking seems fun, and it's fun to
It's
eat things
chemistry,
that have
man.
been
You should
baked.
have your mom find a good lesson plan. I'm sure there's something that includes like baking as a chemistry lesson. That'd be fun.
I'm sure we could, it's homeschooled. I'm sure we can give me credit hours for it. Uh,
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for staying with us. I know we kind of ambled a bit, but we had a lot of catching up to do on movies. And of course, we will when we get back on the 11th live. But we'd still love to see you tune in here next week for our pre taped episode. We're going to have some special guests.
mhm.
It's going to be kind of an interesting format because it'll be an edited episode, but we hope you enjoy it. And before we go, I can't possibly leave without just doing this one more time because Trevor usually falls on the floor. But one thing we've really done here over the past few months is create a family of people that like to come and hang out and do weird things and talk about movies and have a nice positive environment. So I'm really grateful for that personally. So that's one of the things that I'm thankful for this year.
You're trying so hard, and for some reason, it's still working.
All right, everybody. We will sort of see you next week, but we'll really, really see you in 3 weeks. So, bye.
Bye.